step forward.
Let's go. We got CeeLo, Halima, and Nate.
That's my bad.
You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You got ahead of me, Charlie.
We good. What's up, Nick?
Hi.
How's it
Got
going?
Nick in here.
Oh, hello. It's good to see y'all. Sorry, we have some people coming in from the chat too that are chiming in and saying hello as well. But it's good to see you all. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for giving us your time.
Oh, thanks
Thank
for having me.
you.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
So first off, could you guys just like tell us about who you are as like a group, I guess, as Esther Egg, and what you do?
Okay. I'm CeeLo. I am the founder of Esther Egg, and I'm a producer, and we produce. Also write. Also do other things.
Love it. And if you don't mind me asking, how did you guys find each other as far as coming together as a team to found Esther Egg?
Well, it's actually an interesting thing. I founded the company in 2014. And after a while of doing it alone, I started to realize I really needed some support. And went through some processes with that. And then at some point I went, ding, ding, ding. I've known Halima since I think 2007 or 8. And we've actually worked on projects together as well as having a really great friendship. And then Nate, I've known since 2013 as well. And, you know, we've just been a good support system, I would say, for each other. And at some point I was like, wait, we're all in the same business. Let's see how this works. And it's been pretty amazing. I'm just really blessed to have them.
Great.
Right.
Go ahead, Nate. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. I would say we're actually in 3 different locations. I don't know. So CeeLo's in New York, I'm in LA, and then Halima's in Texas. So we just got all of it covered.
So actually, if we line this up right, okay, so I'll put CeeLo here. I'll put Nate there. So me and CeeLo are in the same place. We're in Buffalo. Right. Nate and Ether in the same place. You're both in LA.
Yep.
And you guys are both the South. I mean, one's in Georgia, the other.
And Halima used to be in Atlanta.
So it works out.
That's literally that's an exact match. Yeah. Well done.
To expand upon that parallel, I'm curious, like, what do you each bring to Esther Egg specifically? I know us three have our 3 different areas we specialize in to make this podcast work. What do you each do for Esther Egg?
So basically, like CeeLo was saying, we met in 2008 in LA, and I was living out there, and we're both actors. And we met at a group at my mutual friend's apartment. But I just kind of got left there. Anyway, another story for another time. But we actually became prayer partners, and we used to meet up and pray and talk about what we were trying to do in the industry. And basically, I started writing because I noticed there wasn't really a place for somebody like me as far as casting. So I initially started writing to have projects for myself to do. And I used to always like write a script and be like, hey, CeeLo, come and read this very long script and everything. And then she started her production company. And so we started working together doing that. So writing, acting, and then producing with her. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Nick?
So, like CeeLo said, we met in 2013, which I can't believe it's been almost 10 years now. By the way, I don't know why I have a smoky, raspy voice. I'm getting over a cold. I do not smoke.
It sounds distinguished. You sound distinguished.
So I've always been interested in anything behind the scenes, like writing, directing, and then actually, me and CeeLo have been friends, and she's just always been a real encouragement to me. And then once all 3 of us got together, our actual first production that we did together was actually almost in the middle of the pandemic, which to me is amazing that we were able to pull it off. It was something that a short that Halima had written, and we actually were able to pull it off and produce it, shoot it right in the middle of in the pandemic. So that was our first true project that I think we completed together. So
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. I just wanted to ask real quick. I know as Nate is a writer and Halima is an actor, and CeeLo is a bit of a jack of all trades, but also producing and directing and stuff too. What is the thing you dread most about your process that you're most grateful to have each other for?
Boy,
that's a really good question.
I tried. That's the only one I have. I'm done. I'm going to pass it off.
Well, I can answer that right off the bat. I just know that all of us have such different strengths, and I feel like, CeeLo is so good at just rolling the ball forward, and I think CeeLo is also the one that really understands the business end of things, which is so important. I think, even me, before I kind of got more into this space, you always think about the creative aspects, which are a huge part of it. But at the end of the day, the industry is a business. And, things get greenlit or not because of business decisions. And understanding that aspect of it, of also funding, how are these things going to get funded? Is there anything we can apply for? I mean, that is really where the rubber meets the road. And I know for me, that's the nitty gritty that I honestly, that's not my strength. And CeeLo does an awesome job at that. So
I'm curious because, go ahead, you have another one, Ethan?
No, I was going to say that was a great answer.
Yeah, I was about to say.
His answer was equal to my question. So
yes, great question, great answer. Okay.
I'm curious. Is there a particular project or thing that you guys did that kind of made you feel like you hit your stride in a sense, like where you kind of like get your momentum going and you guys felt comfortable and confident in things going forward?
I would say we thought we were already there, right? In terms of we're hitting our stride. But the fact is, I would say the industry hadn't quite opened up to us yet. Mm-hmm. And then we met Ben, and Ben wrote this really great project, and we were able to work with him, and we're doing our first feature. So that, I think, really opened doors and thoughts for us. Has been a great learning process, how to do a feature, understanding the business part of it in a way that we hadn't before, answering questions we didn't know we had. And because of that, we're now doing this whole big feature on our own. So, yeah.
Have you told them, CeeLo, about what that feature is? And
I'm curious.
Are we allowed
the feature? Yeah, have I told you what the feature is? Is that what you said?
I think we can share a little bit about it.
Oh, okay. So I feel like I'm not great at summarizing projects. So Halima, at some point, if you want to jump in and save me, that would be great. So Halima, save me.
Already, just save me.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I can just briefly tell you. So, like CeeLo said, she just through a neighbor of hers met Ben, and he's a writer and director, and he wrote a thriller that he brought on a producer, Angel Negum, and then he is business partners in a production company with Alec Baldwin. And so they're both involved in this project. And so we've had meetings with them, and just the synopsis of the movie, it's about a man who has false awakenings and he doesn't know when he's asleep or when he's awake. So it's kind of a psychological thriller / horror. It's actually filming in Buffalo, New York. Okay. And I am going there next week to start the production with everyone. And it's been written up in Deadline magazine online. And you can Google it. It's totally legit. So, we're excited.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Do you see how Halima's so much better at that than I am?
I couldn't even do that. I was like, how am I going to summarize this giant story? And that's it. False Awakening.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Did you guys, you mentioned, obviously, Halima mentioned the genre that it's in. Is this kind of a genre that you guys enjoy working in the most? Is this kind of what you guys wanted? Are you in the area you guys wanted to, or most comfortable with, your comfort zone as far as creating? Or are you kind of stepping out of your comfort zone with this project?
We're definitely outside of the comfort zone. Like we were saying, the projects that we did before were more drama, more based in reality, family, relationships, couples, that kind of thing. So I personally don't like horror movies. And so when CeeLo first got the script, I was like, Yikes. So I'm like, I'll be in it, but I'm not gonna watch it. Right. So, at first, but then I read it and I was like, oh, this is more like a psychological thriller more than a horror. So I would say it's more like The Sixth Sense, which was, an excellent film. So it's definitely a departure from what we've done, but there's still the human aspects. He's married, he has a child, he's going to therapy, so it's still very relatable.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like our specialty is about pulling the heartstrings in a sense. You're looking for that story in which you either feel a sense of relating to it or a sense of the tragedy of it or something, something that just really, as I think Halima was saying, is the human part of life, right?
Like connects people. Yeah. And
so that was the thing, is like when we look at a film, we're always trying to find our voice in it. And we were still able to find it in the psychological thriller. There's that story of a family and dealing with a problem and trying to, trying to support each other in it, right? So all these things so it's just like, it really spoke to us as other films would, other dramas and less horror would usually.
Right. I agree with you, Nick. Sure agree with you, Nick.
Unbreakable is great. Unbreakable is great. You guys.
I liked The Village. I really did. I know
Village. Okay.
People didn't like it, but I found it very nice.
No, that's fine. I have to ask this now, since Halima brought it up. Nate and CeeLo, is there a quote unquote guilty pleasure movie or a film that you defend that even your best friends here will come at you for?
Oh, that's a good question.
If you can't answer it now, we can come back to it.
Okay. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. We've never had a discussion about our favorite films together. We haven't, but we honestly haven't.
That's
our whole podcast to have these discussions.
That's what we have.
I was just gonna say, one of the best things about becoming involved in this, and especially for anyone I would say that's listening and is thinking about breaking into the industry, is the power of seemingly random connections. I mean, this is someone who, CeeLo, he was your neighbor, or I don't even know that backstory of how.
Kind of. Well, so it's one of those things, and this is what I believe in the industry: if you're looking for what to do, just show up.
Yes.
So I went to, I started actually getting to know my actual neighbor, and Ben was moving into Buffalo from Rochester. So he ended up staying there, and that's how we met. And he, at that time, my neighbor was like, this movie business is so interesting and I want to get involved. And he meets Ben and he was just like, oh, this guy's doing this film. You guys need to talk. And I was like, oh, okay. You guys need to talk. Oh, okay. And then finally he kind of was like, you guys need to talk. And so we talked. And what was amazing is that, so a lot of times people come up to me and say, hey, I'm doing this story, and they just want advice, some steering or just some information. And this guy was actually doing it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the perfect segue into the topic that we're going to talk about at hand, which is breaking into the industry. So, guys, are you guys willing to give any tips on ways, because the entertainment industry is such a big thing in especially in our country now. I mean, entertainment is the biggest export coming from America. And it's such an intimidating process of trying to find work out there in the industry. Do you have any tips that you guys are willing to share with us on here today on that?
Mm-hmm.
I would start off just by saying that, the great thing about 2022 is that the rules are changing all the time. And I think there's no single path to enter, whereas before I think there was definitely more barriers and there was, kind of more gatekeepers. And now even the fact that all of us are spread across the US, I mean, Buffalo is not what most people would think of. How could I ever get a job in the entertainment industry if I'm actually located in Buffalo? I have to move to LA. And nowadays that's simply not the case. I mean, there's just so many, and that's the beauty with, social media and the internet, is that all these opportunities are just getting spread around. Whereas before, you actually had to be in certain locations. And I would say just my top advice would just be, just kind of like what we've done is find people who are on the same wavelength and join with them, because at the end of the day, no one in this industry, absolutely no one is going to move forward on their own. You know, it really is about collaborating, finding people that, like I said, you share the same vision. And if you can do that, you know, you can really move forward. I mean, there's so much strength in numbers. So I would say that would be the first step, is join something bigger than you that aligns with your vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to kind of piggyback back on that, the technology has changed so much and is so accessible now. So there's so many different steps to take, but it's interesting. As for instance, Halima and I are both actors, and right now, just about every audition is something that is, you know, your own self-taping and sending it out. Yeah. So there are very few barriers. It's more, I think, you know, it's definitely that thing of you have technology, starting to learn it, you know, which can take practice. You can start before you really know the practice, right? So the more you do, you know, the more you learn, right? And then the next thing is just really, who are you surrounding yourself with, right? So for us to get to where we are, it took the three of us, but not just the three of us. There are other people in the background. So
it's fantastic.
People in tech.
All right. So I'm curious. In regards to independent people getting into the industry, obviously there's a lot of people that do their own independent films. People have done a million fan recreations on YouTube and things of that nature. What would you guys say, in your own personal opinion, is the most difficult things about doing independent projects?
I would say, you know, the great thing about independent projects is there's really so many ways to keep the budget under control. I mean, our first short, what was the budget that we finished with? I don't know if either of you know off the top of your head. Was it
I think it's
2,500, which is, you know, that's, you know, anyone can basically come up with 2,500, even if you don't have it with some friends. I think after that is how to bring attention to it and how to really start promoting your work is a whole other process beyond, okay, we have something finished. Now, how do we let people know who we are? I would say that's definitely a challenge, you know?
Yeah. All right. It's funny that you mentioned that, Nate, because that's something that we're working on now, is trying to, you know, create awareness for ourselves too. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely. And I would say too, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like we all have access now to TikTok, Instagram, all these platforms. And then the thing is that there's so much, I don't want to say competition, but there's just so much noise on every platform. It's like, how do you make yourself stand out from all the competitors, and how, you know, what's different about what you're doing or the stories you're telling, and how can you make yourself stand out?
Absolutely.
You know, I know some people go to the extreme route of just, you know, doing kind of all kind of antics, but especially if you're just trying to, you know, showcase, you know, your work, it's difficult.
Right, and that kind of does. I'm sorry, we can say something. Halima or
that was kind of me.
Okay, if you would say something, I didn't interrupt you.
No, I was just gonna say that I think a big part of making the steps you need is kind of knowing what is right for you. You know, and I think that we're so many times, especially when we're younger, we're trying to be what someone else wants us to be. So we think, yes, we have to do this. We have to, you know, do it this way. We have to show up here. We have to whatever. But it really is a thing of, you know, like having a sense of where you want to go. And if you have a sense of where you want to go, I mean, of all the 1,000 different, you know, maybe it's not 1,000 ways, but a lot of ways that are out there now, you can figure out which one is yours. You know, if you don't have any money, you know what I mean? Where do you start with no money? Where do you start if you are living in Timbuktu? Any of those choices, there is a step.
Right, and that's kind of what I was going to ask before with Nate, and I guess all of you guys too. Is like, how do you find your motivation to do these things, to take that big step in any direction, and then B, how do you stay motivated when things get really, really, really rough? We're all independent artists and creators here on some level, of obviously some of us to different, varying degrees. But what have you guys found that's been helpful to keep you on the path?
You know, I really feel that it's who you surround yourself with. You know, like, especially being in Buffalo, being in Buffalo and being an introvert, you know, I could literally just stay in my world. And not have the motivation to do something, to do more. But because Halima, Nate, and I are constantly in contact, then it kind of gives you some motivation plus some direction. I also am part of a mentorship group. So even though I've taken a break from acting for the last couple of years, I've stayed in this group, making the steps I need to. And every time someone has a win or something happens, I'm learning from them about, oh, this, this is what's happening, things that you just wouldn't know just by yourself. So there's that teaching that we kind of give each other. There's the support system that's necessary, and sometimes the support system is really just going like, yeah, no, I believe in you, you can do it. And people will say that, but they know nothing about the business. They know nothing about the direction you're going. So to hear that from someone who is kind of doing what you're trying to do, I think that's important. And then the last thing is just networking. This is your network, so who you surround yourself with really teaches you what to do, so my motivation really comes from the fact that I see what other people are doing. And so it gives me not only ideas, but, it tells me where I can go. And so I can do those things as well.
Right. So on the show, we've interviewed a plethora of people with different talents, special effects makeup artists, a director. Since you guys are a production company, how do you guys go about getting together a crew for the film? Like, how do you pick people to do makeup, effects, things of that nature?
Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I'm answering everything. Well, I'm not answering everything, but two things in a row. Okay, at this point, obviously, we have people we can go to at times because we worked with some really solid people, but we still use the things that are out there. Mandy is a really great resource because it's in every state. So that's just, you can get crew, you can get crew and just anything that's surrounded with that. There's also, I'm trying to think what else we use.
We put a notice on Facebook. Mm-hmm. There's so many Facebook groups, and I know a lot of people are down on Facebook, but to use it for what you need, it's a really good resource. So you can go and search for crew calls, for casting calls, and find a group that's in your local area, and then you're also allowed to post. And so that was actually how we found the two actors, because our short film we did here in Fort Worth, and we cast people locally. And then we also found crew on Mandy and Facebook, and we cast actors on Actors Access. And so, yeah, it's just knowing the resources. And I would say, as far as the last question, let me go back, about the steps to take. I would say really one of the big things is being persistent and just staying on the path. Like, I started acting and taking classes back in 2007. So it's been like 15 years, and I have met a lot of people who are really successful now, and I've met a ton of people who have given up. And a lot of people feel like, oh, I've got to go back home, and it's kind of like a downer. But for me, there was opportunities here in Texas. So I moved to Austin. I did a 48-hour film festival. I did a lot of background. There was an HBO show that was filming there, The Leftovers. And so a lot of people want to be actors, and they're like, oh, I don't want to be an extra because I want a speaking role. But you have to start somewhere. And I've met so many people. I've found out how to do, I've connected with people who are like, oh, I got my headshots done at such and such, or there's a casting for this just from being on set. So you have to take steps, be in class, be on set. Don't think that you're above anything at that point. So.
And just to add on to what Halima was saying, I would say if there's one thing that anyone who's thinking about entering this industry needs, one thing about everything else is resilience. And CeeLo and Halima to me are both examples of that, because you have no control when your moment will come. And you're gonna go through so much failure. The failure's a given. You're gonna go through a whole process where you pour your whole heart and soul into it, and you're not gonna even like the result, or it's not gonna even come out how you expected. But it's okay, how do I keep moving forward? And just being, that that branch that doesn't break. And like I said, resilience is the most important thing that anyone needs, in this whole industry.
Right on.
All right. Mm-hmm. You guys have any other questions for him, Ethan or Otis?
No questions. I will give a little tidbit of how we met in the first place, and that adds on to breaking into the industry as well. So I mean, with the whole situation with it, like I met CeeLo while I was at work in the middle of my shift, and she came in looking for a few ACs for an Airbnb she's renting out, and literally had no idea of what she might be doing. I just went there went and helped her with the process of getting out, and out of nowhere she asked me if I did anything on the side. Later out finding out she was hoping that I did some yard work for her. Yeah, I guess another person from my job did it for her before, but but no, if she finds out that I do podcasting, and we got a whole discussion about outside projects, and just literally just finding out that you were in the industry that I've always wanted to be in. Like when it comes to entertainment and movies, like that's something that we review all the time. But more recently, just been doing this podcast, I found out that it's something that I want to do myself, and just running into an opportunity randomly like that just shows how the power of networking can work in your favor. Just like I literally had no plans or a blueprint about how to break into it, and just a chance encounter on a horrible day. That was a horrible day at work. Running into an opportunity like that, it's definitely been a fruitful thing thus far, and I'm hoping to get more from it. But it's like I really appreciate you for seeing something in me.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, that old Spanish proverb that when the student is ready, the teacher will present themselves, or vice versa. So whatever it was about that horrible day that
also, like Oprah says, there's no such thing as luck. It's hard work meeting opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So
exactly. So if you guys would tell us where people can find your work and find you guys.
We have one more thing for them still too.
Oh, go ahead. My bad. Ooh,
you know what it is.
He's done with us.
I was like, I'm messing with you. Go ahead. Start it. Start it up.
So, do we have the? Oh, we don't have the original. That's fine. But yeah, you start it up though. That's still fine.
Which one? Wait, I'll let you start it up just to make sure I know which one you're talking about. I don't want to hit the wrong one by accident.
It's a little bit. It's gonna be a little rough, but here it comes. We apologize in advance for everything.
Oh man! Oh man!
Yes. Maybe some of this, or maybe some of that. It's either or, baby.
Oh, that's gross.
So that was. This is the segment of the show we had called Either Or as for our guest. The problem was that was for a previous guest, but we apologize for that. However, we still have this. I have a question in mind for you guys, an either or for you guys, since you guys are filmmakers, storytellers, and all around cool people. If you had to be, here's the either or. Either you have to be the detective in a murder mystery, which means you are responsible for tracking down and stopping a murderer, or several other people will die on your watch. Literally, you'll be fine, but everyone else in the world will die if you don't do your job. Or you will be the final girl / guy in a horror genre film, which means no matter what happens, you are going to survive this whatever thing is that's killing everybody else, but you're also responsible for taking it down the end, and you may see all your friends die in the process. So either you're the detective in a crime noir feature, or you're the final girl / guy in a horror film.
Detective.
Well, no, you have to show your work, CeeLo. You have to show your work. You have to show your work too.
I was gonna say, people like us don't last in horror movies. So. Let's just be honest. That's not gonna happen.
You can be the first.
Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes.
Or Snoop Dogg.
What was he in? What did he survive?
Day Shift.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, let's not bring it up again.
I too would be the detective. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, don't apologize.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like things that make me scared. So let's stay away from that. Nope. No, thank you.
Fair enough.
Right. And Nate, we haven't heard from you.
Quiet. I'll exactly be the detective as well. I mean, if everyone else is gone, I don't want to be here either. So
this is the easiest or hardest either or we've ever done. So thank you guys very much. Fair enough. In all honesty, I'd probably do the same thing. I would probably choose horror to be the final person. I just hide in a corner and just do nothing. So.
Well, I think I would be posing as the detective, but actually be the killer.
Ooh.
I think you just wrote an amazing movie right now.
Yeah, you did.
That's the upcoming Esther Egg project.
You haven't trademarked that yet, right?
Yeah. We can shut this podcast down now.
Yeah, we're gonna write something right now.
Yeah.
But great. But now, if you guys would let us know, because you've talked about a lot of projects. I'm interested in where to go to find these things and to view them. If I would.
CeeLo. No. Okay, so we have an Instagram page, and that is at Esther Egg. There you go on the screen. And there, I have an Instagram. It's at Halimi Man. You can follow me for pictures of what I'm eating that day and things like that. So. And Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, it's all at Halimi Man. So.
Gotcha. Do you guys have anything else you want to plug while you're here? Maybe events coming up? Anything else?
I'm gonna be in Buffalo next week.
Yeah, look out! Watch out!
I mean, I would say we're pretty deep in production right now, or about to be. So yeah.
Right.
And see, like before this, I was really enthused about meeting Halima in Buffalo. Now I'm worried because she might be a secret serial killer.
You won't see it coming.
She seemed very helpful for some reason.
That's right.
Halima, he's got a bad knee. Just go for that.
Yeah.
Halima's a deep well.
Deep well, awesome. I love it.
Well, thank you
all so much. Yeah, it's a blast.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This is fun.
No problem. Thank you guys so much.
We appreciate you coming, Noah, and we'll be having you guys on again soon. But we'll announce that when it's time for it.